Welcome to MBANow. I'm Rob Van Raphorst. With us today, it is our pleasure to have Pat Stone of WFG. Pat, thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let's sort of get into it a little bit. The mortgage and real estate industries have had to adapt considerably as a result of the pandemic. What additional changes do you think that we can expect going forward?
Well, that's the $64,000 question. I think one of the underlying trends that's been created here is a sense of optionality, that people have various solutions because of automation. And I do think that will create more interaction among the participants and more willingness among the participants to explore what can be done to make the process more efficient. So I'm pretty positive that this has been a long-term benefit to the industry.
So when we think about the market, we're seeing a little bit of a shift. MBA is predicting that purchase originations are going to increase 16% in 2021, but refinances are going to drop about 33% by year end. How is WFG prepared for this shift in the business?
Well, on a pure financial basis, it's probably going to come out about the same with that mix. One of the things that is happening, however, is I think both lenders and title insurance companies are now going to be more oriented towards the realtor, working with the realtor and trying to make the realtor more efficient in their interaction with their clients. So we're going to become more buyer-oriented across the board.
So what role do we think remote online notarizations are going to play going forward?
That's a good question. I think there's been some disappointment that they have not caught on to a greater degree than they have. But candidly, the cost of data storage, the cost of video storage, the various laws and interactions have created some problems. I think also people, especially first-time buyers or people that are not really sophisticated on real estate practices, really appreciate having the ability to ask questions during a closing. So Ron has not had anywhere near the adoption rate people thought. However, I will tell you this, I do think on the back end, on loan mods and things like that, it will really enhance the efficiency of those types of interactions. So I see it being used on the back end much more by the servicing community than on the front end origination side.
Yeah, and it seems that there's a general perception that digital title is subject to a greater degree of fraud than traditional title work. Are these fears well-founded?
No, no. To be honest with you, most of the problems that we've had, both I've been at this 46 years, so pre-automation and post-automation, most of the problems come around the buyer being misled by someone giving them false instructions or telling them to wire money or send money to a different place. I do not think digital title itself is going to be any more susceptible to fraud or problems. I do think blockchain is never going to be widely adapted in our industry because that is more susceptible to fraud because of different participants and so forth and so on.
Yeah, that's a great point. When we think about the industry, what do you think is the biggest problem right now, and what can be done to address it?
Well, the biggest problem right now is the same problem we've had forever, and that is we have different regulatory environments. We operate under different business practices. Some of the components of the industry are regulated state by state. The consumer dealing in real estate is always sort of taken back by how long it takes, how confusing it is, and how hard it is to get answers. That all stems from the fact that we report up to different regulatory bodies and operate in different environments. I do think that the pandemic has created some interaction between the participants and also some recognition by regulators that we need a little bit more standard practices if we're going to make the process more efficient and have it take less time.
And lastly, I would just ask, what is WFG working on right now, and how will it help real estate transaction participants?
We are focused on statusing the consumer with our My Home product so that they don't have to be left in the dark for 45 days. They get 14 updates during a transaction that tells them what's happening, what's going to happen next, what to expect. And we found that they come to closings much happier. Now we're also working on a product called My Home Exchange, which is a data vault the consumer uploads a lot of information. The lender, the title company, and other participants on an as-needed basis can access that information instead of having to call or email constantly to figure out what's going on. So we're trying to make the process more efficient by using a data vault and statusing tools.
It seems like you have a lot going on there, and it's really going to be successful. Pat, thank you so much for stopping by and talking with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.